Hello everyone and welcome to the next nutrition webinar, which is courtesy of the NIB health insurance partner that we have at Silverchain. Today the nutrition webinar is going to talk about ways that you can help your health with your nutrition. So we've just got a little recording to get through. It's only 15 minutes long, and then at the end I'll just kind of talk about NIB and what you can access. But yeah, I hope you enjoy. I'm just going to share my screen now. Here we are. I hope you can all see that. And I'm just going to press play.
Australia. Today we are going to be talking about balanced diets. We hear a lot about the importance of balanced diets. However, what does this actually look like? How does a balanced diet support both our physical and mental health? And how can we achieve this on a daily basis? This is what we are going to delve into today, because balance actually means a number of things when we are talking about diet. So what are we going to cover in today's session? We are going to start with the basics and run through the core food groups and the food sources of these. We are also going to chat about the key elements of a balanced meal and what this might look like across breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We will also cover some of the many benefits to our physical and mental health of a balanced diet and how this can really impact our day-to-day lives. And finally, we will chat through some practical tips and strategies to improve the balance of your own diet. Before we get into today's session, let's meet John. John is in his late 30s and works in quite a sedentary office job. His weekdays are a jam-packed schedule of work, running around after his young kids, trying to fit in some exercise, running the household, and squeezing in some downtime at the end of the day if he can. John tries to take care of himself and knows that while his diet isn't terrible, it could use some improvements. He isn't sure where to start though, and finds the amount of conflicting information about what to eat really off-putting. And it's no wonder that John is so confused. There are so many different diets out there, and it seems like there's a new diet every week. It certainly keeps me very busy keeping up with all the latest trends. You've got the ketogenic diet, the 5-2 intermittent fasting diet, the paleo diet, flexitarian, sugar-free, low-carb, raw food, gluten-free, plant-based, and the list goes on and on. There are many different messages about nutrition and what is healthy and what is not, and these can often be really conflicting, which just adds to the confusion. I'm sure many of you can relate to John and the challenges of trying to sort through the fact from fiction when it comes to nutrition. The truth is there is not one single way of eating that suits absolutely everyone, and there is also not one single way of eating that will suit you and your body every day. So what should you eat? The interesting thing about nutrition science is that it continues to evolve as we learn more and more about the human body and the ways in which what we eat interact with it. This evolution is illustrated here in these three visual representations of a balanced diet. The first two are Australian models, the Australian Guide to Healthy Eating on the left, which was released in 2013, and the Healthy Eating Pyramid in the centre there, which was released in 2015. These two are both underpinned by the current Australian dietary guidelines and so are in line with our current evidence-based practice in nutrition. The Planetary Health Plate on the right-hand side is a global model which was more recently developed in 2019 with a big emphasis on sustainability and how the food choices we make impact the health of the planet as well as our bodies. This model is backed by an emerging area of science and is definitely a space to watch in the coming years as we see a much larger focus on sustainability and the health of the planet and how this really aligns to our health. While nutrition science continues to evolve, there are key fundamentals that have stood the test of time. So what are these? The first one is around eating more vegetables. Only 4% of Australian adults eat the recommended number of serves of vegetables, which is 5 serves a day. 4%. That is just crazy. If there is only one thing you take from this session today in terms of what you could do differently at dinner tonight, include more veg, and it is easier than we think to sneak these in. The next one there is to enjoy fruit. Fruit gets a very bad rap that it is high in sugar. However, whole, unprocessed fruit is packed with dietary fibre and loads of vitamins and minerals. While fruit does contain natural sugars in the form of fructose, the dietary fibre in the fruit slows down the digestion and absorption into the bloodstream of these sugars, so it is a much more sustained release over time, as opposed to the quickly absorbed sugars that we often find in processed foods. Variety is key also. For example, try to include both animal sources of protein, such as meat, seafood, and eggs, and also plant-based sources of protein, such as lentils, chickpeas, nuts, seeds, and tofu. Protein is a really important element of all our meals, as it helps us to feel full and satisfied in between meals. Next there is whole grains. Whole grain sources of slow-releasing carbohydrates such as wholemeal and mixed grain bread, wraps, rolled oats, brown rice, wholemeal pasta, popcorn and rice cakes provide important fibres and vitamins and minerals. And again, these are really important for helping us to feel satisfied between meals. Next there is dairy. Dairy foods such as cheese, yogurt or milk provide important nutrients such as calcium and also probiotics which support gut health. If you prefer to choose plant-based dairy alternatives such as soy or almond milk, choose one that is calcium fortified, and you'll be able to tell on the label at the nutrition information panel and ingredients list if it has been calcium fortified. Finally, healthy fats that are found in foods such as extra virgin olive oil and avocado are important sources of essential fatty acids and aid in the absorption of some particular vitamins, and also as well help with that satiety between meals. So really, when you're looking at your plate, aim to include your protein, your whole grain carbohydrates, lots of fruits and veggies, and some healthy fats. What about snacking? You will often hear that we shouldn't be snacking and we should just stick to 3 meals a day. However, for many of us, having some healthy snack options on hand that will fill you up is key and stops that ravenous hunger in between meals. Grazing is another eating habit that many of us can relate to, especially often on the weekends when we're out of our regular weekday routine. Oftentimes, we will find ourselves having smaller bites to eat across the whole day, as opposed to sitting down and having actual meals. It is best to keep this habit of grazing at bay as much as you can, as often when we are grazing, we tend to pick convenient food options that might not be the most nutritious, and it also doesn't allow our body to register normal hunger and satiety cues if we are eating so frequently. Snacking in between your meals, however, is absolutely fine if you are genuinely hungry. The key here is to gauge your hunger levels before you opt for a snack and think about, are you genuinely hungry, or are you just eating out of habit or maybe in response to stress or tiredness or emotions? Or are you dehydrated? Often when we are dehydrated, you'll actually feel hungry as opposed to thirsty, which is really interesting. So really important to keep up the water intake across the day. When thinking about snacks, the 2 key nutrients to look for are protein and fibre, as these are really key to help us feel full and help us get through a long afternoon, for example. We will look at some healthy snack options a bit later on. So now that we know what a healthy, balanced day of meals and snacks looks like, how do you spot a fad diet? As we have talked about earlier, there are so many different diets out there. And certainly the way that you eat is a very individual thing and will really vary from person to person. It is important though to be able to spot a fad diet, as there are new ones popping up in the media all the time. Fad diets are not recommended as a healthy eating plan, and some can even be quite dangerous and really increase your risk of nutritional deficiencies. So what are the key traits to watch out for? Fad diets often restrict or eliminate entire food groups, such as carbohydrates or dairy, for example, without appropriate alternatives. They are often very strict and regimented and do not allow you the opportunity to eat intuitively and in tune with your body. This also means that we often don't have anywhere near the same enjoyment of food when it comes to following a really strict eating plan. And you're often forcing yourself to eat what is exactly on the plan, as opposed to perhaps what you feel like eating or are craving. Also, a strict eating plan that often comes with fad diets makes socializing and eating out really challenging, which then just impacts our social life. And finally, fad diets are just not a sustainable way of eating in the long term. If we feel deprived or like we are not in control of our own choices around food, we will not maintain this, and that is simply just human nature. And it often leads us to feelings of disappointment and guilt if we don't stick to the plan, which are just really not helpful. So steer clear of fad diets, and if you want to make changes to your diet, make small changes at a time in a sustainable way to allow yourself time to adjust to them and for those new habits to form. So now that we know that a balanced diet incorporates all of the key food groups and lots of different variety and the different sources of the key food groups in the right amounts, let's have a look at John's day on a plate. John typically starts his day with a quick bite to eat so that he can get out the door early to miss the worst of the traffic. He finds that he is someone who wakes up quite hungry in the mornings. However, some days if he's running late or he has a particularly early meeting, he doesn't eat until he gets into the office, and that's usually quite late in the morning. At most, he tries to manage a slice of toast with butter and Vegemite with his coffee. After his morning, which is usually jam-packed with meetings, he finally gets a break to grab some lunch. John will usually head down to the cafe at the bottom of his building and grab a ham and cheese toastie to eat back at his desk. And he'll also try to have a piece of fresh fruit with that. Throughout the afternoon, John might snack on a muesli bar or some crackers and dip, or maybe a handful of nuts that he keeps in his desk drawer. When he gets home in the evening, John is usually starving and so has a snack right when he walks in the door at about 6 o'clock to tide him over till dinner. And that's usually, again, some crackers or dip or some sliced cheese. And finally, dinner is typically grilled meat with potatoes and veggies, or a pasta dish, or a quick stir fry. And then later on in the evening, John typically craves something sweet, so he might have some chocolate with a cup of tea before bed. So looking at John's day on a plate, have a think about what you think John could do to make some small tweaks to improve the balance of his diet. It does not need to be complex changes. For example, something as simple as cooking extra at your dinner time so that you have leftovers to take for lunch the next day can really help to ensure that you've got that balanced and nutritious meal ready to go for lunch to power you through the afternoon. Another great one is tweaking that morning slice of toast. Changing the topping from butter and Vegemite to, for example, natural peanut butter and sliced banana will provide John with more healthy fats and protein and additional dietary fibre to really kickstart his day. Another really key one to remember is ensuring that you drink enough water throughout the day, because as we've said, often that can impact the regulation of your hunger cues, and you might find you're getting those sugar cravings late in the day when you're actually dehydrated. So you can see that just a couple of tweaks can really improve the balance of your diet. So I really encourage you to have a think about what would be the top 2 tweaks that you think that you could implement in your own diet. So what are the positive impacts of a balanced diet on your health? One of the most trending topics in nutrition at the moment is gut health. So much research is going into understanding more about the links between the health of the good bacteria in the gut and the other functions in our body, such as mood, immunity, and even our weight. The good bacteria in the gut love a balanced diet with lots of variety. A special type of fibre called prebiotic fibre is essential for feeding the good bacteria in the gut, also called probiotics, and keeping them thriving. Prebiotic fibre is found in fruit, veggies, nuts, seeds, and whole grains. We are also learning more and more about the relationship between our gut and our mental health and mood. This connection is called the gut-brain axis. One of the best examples of the gut-brain axis in action is the feeling of butterflies you get when you feel nervous or stressed about something. An emerging area of nutrition science is nutritional psychiatry, which examines the links between a healthy diet and mental health. A balanced diet also supports our immunity. Back to the gut. Interestingly, a large proportion of our immune tissue lives in the gut, another reason why gut health is so critical. We also know that there are certain nutrients in particular that are key to our immune system. These include vitamin C, found in
Sorry guys, that seems to be the end of the video. Let's stop sharing.
Hey everyone, and welcome to today's session.
There you go. I'm just going to share my other screen. Apologies for that finishing so quickly. I might look into that and see if there was maybe a bit that we missed out at the end. But it was 15 minutes, so we'll go on to the PowerPoint presentation now. It's just a quick one, just to show you about the NIB offers that we have. So there we go. So you can all see my screen here. As you know, we do have a corporate health partnership with NIB Health Insurance. They give our staff access to some really good discounts on their health insurance. One that I've actually taken up myself, I'm with NIB Health Insurance, and I get about 8% discount on my membership because of it, which is actually really substantial when you think about how expensive health insurance can be. Now, I did, when I first signed up, find it very easy. So they make it really easy on you to sign up. If you are with another health insurer, you just let them know that you want to switch to them, and they handle everything on their end, which I thought was really great, especially in this busy environment where we're a bit too busy to answer the questions that other health insurers have, and they tend to want to ask a lot of questions. Why? So I found that very easy. Another thing at the moment is up until the end of I think it's June or July, they're offering staff a gift card for new staff who sign up to the corporate plan. So if you are keen on that, the number's on my screen here. It's 1800 13 14 63. That number is really easy to call and they can sort everything out for you. Otherwise, they do have a little section on their website for Silver Chain staff as well. But did anyone have any questions about their health insurance? If you don't, that's okay as well.
Neither here. Do they do pet insurance? Ha ha ha.
Oh, I would like to know that as well. Leroy, can you comment?
No, not at the moment. Unfortunately, there's only one major underwriter in the pet insurance industry, which all companies go with. So there's not really a point of us adding to the mix.
Would be nice, but good question, Nita.
It's a very expensive insurance product, so I'd love that, but yeah.
Thanks, Nita. Anyone else have a question about it? Anyone on Dorota's phone? No? Oh, hello?
No, hello. Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can.
Yep, no questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys for listening to the presentation, and I hope you took something away from the nutrition. I know I definitely do. Definitely handy having around this time, getting back into the swing of things and getting rid of that ISO weight. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, and we'll see you again in 2 weeks' time, because the next week there isn't going to be a webinar, just letting you know. I'll send you the link to the recordings though for next week, so you can listen to them in the gap. I'm just going to stop recording. Cool.